One is trying to look tough. The other one is trying to look expensive. And the battle for today's video is between two subcompact crossovers for the title of the best budget SUV. Now, these two offer a lot except excite you. But in this case, we're going to compare these and find out which one gives you more for less, which one drives better, which one gives you the most space and tech features. That's the goal for today's video. Let's roll! Let's start first with the Toyota Corolla Cross. In some ways, this is kind of like the standard Corolla, but this one, it hit the gym. It hopes to grow up into a Toyota Grand Highlander. But to make it exciting on the outside, they've included a few things that I kind of appreciate about. First of all, at the top over here, we've got this badge that says Corolla Cross and a bit of that silver line all the way around. It's got a nice exterior, but they really played it safe. It feels like it was designed by a committee. Moving on to the back, it gets less exciting. As you can see, pretty standard, nothing too crazy. They really went very, very safe and cautious. But I have to admit, they made sure they added more badges so that you know this is not just a standard Corolla. This is a Corolla Cross. Corolla Cross. You see? Two badges because you can't see this one very well. So they added this one in the middle because when you look down, you go like, oh, that's a Corolla Cross. Meanwhile, the Nissan Kicks, well, it wasn't designed by a committee. It was designed by people that wanted to make small SUVs look cool. And they actually did a pretty good job, except the fact that with the wheels, this thing looks like a shopping cart. Small wheels, big body. But having said that, the front end of this is more exciting than the one in the Corolla Cross because the way it's designed. Like, I love the daylight running lights, the actual headlight over here. The grille matches nicely with the SR badge, massive Nissan logo in the front. I love this. This is pretty cool. Having said that, they've also added some exciting design features on the outside. We've got the Kicks badge onto the side mirror. That way people can read this. I don't know if it's big enough to read, but they've added that as a small design. And then we move on to the back, which I think is pretty cool. That's Kicks as well. The difference in here, it looks like a 3D because it has two layers in two different colors. I like that. And then we'll move on to the back. Thankfully, the Kicks in the back is a bit more exciting. Not too exciting, but just enough for you to be able to look at it. I love the tail lights, the bar over here across with the reverse lights, and they made sure they only included one badge onto this side because that's just more than enough. And then we've got a nice diffuser at the bottom. So overall, the entire roofline, everything, well, looks a bit more decent compared to the Corolla Cross. One of the things that these two promise is space. Imagine ending up renting one of these and you've got all the luggage. Well, what do? Well, that's what we're going to find out today. We'll see which one offers the most space. Now, on paper, this offers about 26.5 cubic feet of space behind the second row. This one, you're looking at about 25. So it's not like massive, but there's only one way to do that test. And we've got all the luggage that you need right in here. So let's start first with the Corolla Cross. First, to open it, you actually have a button. You press that, and this one opens automatically. You can also lock the vehicle with the button located at the top. First thing, you need to realize the fact that you might bang your head a few times here because it's not high enough, and that's like the top level. Next thing is testing out the space. We're going to use this bad boy and see if we can fit this in here. So that's one. That's two. And that's three. So we've got all three bags in here, which means you get more space here and a bit of space onto that side. Because if I do that, it's not going to be able to close. So let's try and close it. Nope. So I have to figure out a way because this doesn't like that way. So the best way to do this is put it this way. And now you've got yourself some extra space, a little bit of space in there. But overall, about 90% full. And there you go. The Nissan Kicks. The Kicks has a little bit less space, but we're going to try out. First of all, it doesn't have powered liftgate, so you have to open manually. Is that a big deal? Not really. It depends who you ask. Second thing is, in terms of space over here, well, it's about the same as a Corolla, so my head does touch the tailgate. Next thing is that it has this cover, so you can decide to remove that completely and make extra space. I find these usually annoying, but let's test it out with this thing in here. I want to see if I can fit everything. First, we're going to try the big boy. This is the long one, so that gives you an idea. Okay, that's all the way to the back. Let's move on to this one. We're going on vacation. Okay, so generally it feels like I can close this without any problem with this thing at the top. Or you could also just remove this completely and make use of the extra space. Now, another thing I can do, it's this. And you can put this thing at the top. Something like that. You just have to essentially adjust. And it's done. Now, I think one of the reasons that this is smaller than the Corolla, it's because of this design. If you look carefully, you've got this white part here, but then at the top, it's a lot smaller. So the actual rear windshield here, it's smaller compared to the one in the Corolla, which is wider, because this one, it's got thicker hips on this side, like wider hips, you could say. And I think that's where the place kind of gets reduced a little bit. Let's move on to the second row. I'm 6'2", so this will give you an idea of how much space you get. First of all, the Corolla Cross, I gotta make sure I say that right. Pretty spacious. It actually feels like you're inside a standard Corolla. It doesn't feel like higher. Well, higher off the ground, but here feels about the same. We've got this interesting mix of leather and cloth, although I feel like this is definitely not real leather. Space-wise, pretty good. I feel comfortable, not bad. No tech features in here except powered window, no panoramic roof, USB-C ports at the bottom, no heated seats in the back. We got a cup holder in here, some space. That's about it. First of all, we've got this with the SR package, this nice cloth and leather mix with red stitching, which gives it a different experience. In terms of space, roughly about the same, except headroom. I feel like it's a little bit tighter here for headroom. Other than that, this has more leg room compared to the Corolla Cross. And then we've got a nice window here, about the same. But this one comes with a panoramic roof, which is quite nice with this package. And you've got a lot of leather, like it really feels inside, feels nice. Doesn't feel the same as the one in the Corolla. It's just a bit more premium. And then we've got two USB-C ports, powered windows in this case, and there's a light over there. Now, in terms of the seats, let's see. Okay, we got this one. Pull it up. So this is essentially the same as the Corolla. So we've got a 60/40 design, and there you go. So it gives you extra space if you want to fold and unfold the seats, and here you go. Okay, into the Toyota Corolla Cross. First, when you jump inside, you take off your sunglasses. There's no sunglass compartment here. I'm just gonna put them right in the center here. And you realize that this is a Toyota Corolla on the inside. It's not extremely different. It's got a very basic interior, not the most advanced or premium. And that's the whole point of it, is they're budget friendly. That's the idea, and that's not a bad thing. Now, unlike the Kicks, this one has one single sunroof in the front. So it doesn't have a panoramic roof. Maybe there's an option to pick one, but with this package, we don't have it. First of all, we have the steering wheel with some buttons, easy access. We've got the cruise control here with lane assist and gap assist, which is quite nice with this package. And then we've got the user controls here for the cluster, for the audio system. The actual steering column itself is manually adjustable, so it gives you quite a lot of adjustability, so that way you can position wherever you want it to. It does have paddle shifters in the back if you want to have some fun. Not sure if that fun can be considered in this vehicle, but let's just say you decide to do that. The cluster is a full digital cluster, and you can customize it to whatever you want it to be. Like, it gives you a lot of information, your driving, your adaptive cruise control, the eco mode, the audio system. In this case, you can turn it on. From here, you can go into FM and so on. So it gives you quite a lot of access, and your phone. And then we have your lane departure assist, all the settings for driving. You can change them through here. Offers quite a lot, easy access, and a quite nice layout in terms of the actual cluster itself. You can adjust that as well. And you've got some driving modes: sport, normal, and eco. The infotainment, I believe this is a 9-inch or 8-inch, so it's a small one. It's the size of the average tablet in this case, and it offers quite a lot of information. You also get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on this one, so you can connect your device. In this case, we already have one iPhone. There is the audio system through different sources. You can connect your phone, your current trip history, all the settings. You got sound and media, so in this case, you can control the sound tuning, levels, which is nice. Again, quite a lot for the package, for the amount of money you pay, and we'll get to that in a minute. You can create your own account in here. It has built-in GPS.
I found 15 results. The first is Petro Canada and Car Wash at Kingston Road. Would you like to go to that one?
No, thank you.
The next one is Shell at Westney Road.
And then in terms of the camera, we only have a backup camera with this package. There is a dual zone climate unit in this case that you can synchronize, which is nice to have. There's heated rear windshield and heated side mirrors for wintertime, which is nice because they get pretty icy. This comes in real handy, and for this package, that seems like something to have. Moving on further down, we've got heated seats with 2 levels, high and low. There's also a heated steering wheel, and there's one USB-C port. And then just underneath that, we've got a wireless charging pad. You can just slide your phone in there, and it will wirelessly charge your phone. In this case, I've got a 16 Pro Max, which fits in perfectly. And just below that, we've got your driving modes plus EV mode. And that's your standard shift knob. We do have a brake hold with this package, which is quite helpful, and there is automatic parking. The driver's side seats gets power seats, so you got the bottom part control and the top side, plus the bolster adjustment as well. The centerpiece for the recliner, so you can adjust that, which comes in real handy. Okay, jumping onto the Nissan Kicks. The first thing you realize in this vehicle is that you get a bit of that premium treat in here compared to the one in the Toyota Corolla Cross. It's because this feels more premium on the inside. We've got a large display in here. So when you get in, you really realize that this is not just another standard small cheap SUV. It actually feels more premium. I love the way they've designed this. In fact, first time I jumped in, I was kind of shocked for the amount of money you pay. You get all this, like a digital cluster, a massive screen in here, beautiful layout, and we've got these haptic buttons at the bottom, the red interior, the leather, and so on, like the steering wheel. It actually feels a nice place to be. And this also has a sunroof, which you can open. On top of that, it does have a sunglass compartment, which is something you didn't get with that. I find that interesting why they keep removing them. I want that because I use sunglasses all the time, or people that use glasses with different types of glasses. This comes in real handy. Starting with the steering wheel, I love it. The design, the red stitching around here because it's the SR package, the flat button, the badge here, everything is nice. You still got buttons similar to the one in the Corolla Cross. We've got Pro Pilot Assist in here, the big button that you see in there to control the volume. for the actual infotainment and to control the cluster in front of you. Now, talking about the cluster, this is a quite large cluster and it's a bit more flat. It's not pushed in like the one in the Corolla Cross. It just looks nicer overall, more up to date. You can change the view in this case for the cluster. There's a different layout. So you've got 2-meter view, kind of like this one. And you've got different information in here, it shows you. And you go into vehicle, tire pressure. You've got your ProPilot Assist and more settings that you can control. TPMS, clock, vehicle settings. So there's a lot of information, including the traction control, eco mode settings, driver assisting settings. So you get quite a lot of information in here with this package. And I love the layout. The entire thing looks quite nice. On top of that, you have the miles per hour onto the sides plus the kilometers. So in case if you go down to the US, which now most Canadians don't, but let's just say you decide to go there for business, you get that option. Moving on to the infotainment display, we've got a touch screen. It's a new layout, new infotainment user interface in this case, easy to use. It doesn't have built-in navigation system, which I think is pretty smart because nobody uses that anymore. We have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto and you're good to go. You can control the audio system in this case. You've got yourself phone connectivity and you can use the climate unit through here. Heated seats on both sides, driver and passenger. You can change the temperature or where you want it to be pointed at. So it's quite helpful. And the actual layout, it's pretty easy to use. There are some settings that you can control from here, like the sound, for example, the camera, display. You've got your general, so you've got a lot of settings that you can look around and you can customize it to whatever you want it to be. The infotainment itself. And you've got the user, so you can create your own user. So if you have one for your husband, one for your wife, for example, that comes in real handy. It also has 360 camera, which kind of shocked me, I must admit. For this amount of money, getting a 360 camera, that's pretty rare nowadays. So great job on that one, Nissan. I love using this. Moving on further down, we've got buttons, which is great. You have easy access to the camera by pressing just that button over there. And for the speakers and the audio volume. Further down, we've got more buttons, but these are haptic. For heated seats, you just touch it like that. You can change the fan speed. This is dual zone, and you can change the temperature. And then further from that, we've got a wireless charging pad right in here. So you can slide your phone, and unlike the Corolla Cross, this has 2 USB-C ports. It does have auto hold, and it does have power handbrake. Now, before we go for a drive, let's talk about what these bad boys offer under the hood. Don't get too excited because what you find in here is mostly what you find in lawnmowers. In this case, you can get a front-wheel drive, but with this package, for the first time, you get an all-wheel drive system, which is quite nice. It is equipped with CVT, so maybe some people aren't going to like it, but hey, it gets the job done. The Toyota Corolla Cross offers 2 engines. You can get a 2-liter inline 4 naturally aspirated, which makes about 169 brake horsepower. It does use a CVT. You can get front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, or you can get the one that we have for today's video, which is a hybrid, meaning it's the 2-liter inline 4 plus 3 electric motors, to give you a bit more exciting power, which increases up to 196 brake horsepower. Again, faster than what you get in a Nissan Kicks. But then you also get the all-wheel drive option and you get eCVT. Is it more exciting than the Kicks? Well, that's what we're going to find out next. Let's go for a drive. We'll start first with the Corolla Cross. First thing you notice is that with the hybrid, this is a little bit punchier. Driving this thing on a city drive, it's pretty comfortable. The suspension system is tuned more for comfort than sporty. CVT is probably where people are going to complain a bit because they really hate CVTs. I find them okay. They do the job just fine. They're not too fast, but also not too slow. They're supposed to be fuel efficient, and that's the idea. This one has an eCVT because it is hybrid. But you put your foot down, it kind of screams like a teenager complaining about cleaning his room or her room. That's pretty much how a CVT feels. But it does a pretty decent job in terms of power delivery. And you've got these paddle shifters in the back which simulate shifts. Yep. But it pulls. Now, remember that with the hybrid engine, this thing has 3 electric motors, so it is a bit more punchier and it's a bit faster than normal. It's got a sport transmission. You move into the left side and now you're into sport transmission. It's not the fastest I've driven, but it does the job just fine. Visibility is good in this vehicle for the size. It handles pretty well. Now, the body roll is not as noticeable unless you're trying to flip the damn thing. Then yeah, you got yourself a very bouncy vehicle, but just driving it normal feels like a normal vehicle. They've done a pretty good job with this chassis. Like, remember, this shares a lot with the Toyota Prius, the Toyota Corolla as well. So the C chassis, which essentially has a very well-tuned transmission, very well-tuned suspension system, control arms. It handles pretty well around the corner. It's very planted as a vehicle. That's one thing you notice, and you don't feel the heaviness. The hybrid engine, it's pretty quiet. You don't hear much from the engine side. Even when you put your foot down, it's still quiet. It's a lot punchier. It's very zippy with this system, and you also get amazing fuel efficiency. In fact, I've been driving this for like 2-3 hours now, doing a lot of rollers and driving around, and I noticed like it's still full. This one in Canada starts at about $29,000 and it goes up to 37 grand. So out of the dealership, you're looking about 45, 46 roughly. Prices should be on the actual screen. In the US, you're looking about $21,000, $22,000 starting price, starting with front wheel drive. You don't even get the all wheel drive. And then it goes up to like $29,000, $30,000. The Nissan, on the other hand, it offers better pricing for entry level in the US and Canada. In Canada, it starts at about $27,000, $28,000. Meanwhile, the US model, front wheel drive as well, starts at about $21,500 or $22,000, which is $2,000 less than the Toyota. It also offers great tech features. Like this, for example, has speakers behind me, which is quite nice. It has the Bose Personal Plus, which I'm assuming is their performance level speakers. And I think that adds to the entire package. You can also get an all-wheel drive now, which is great. When it comes to city driving, the Kicks is where it feels at home. It's a lot nicer, it's very tight, it's small, it's easy to drive. But when it comes to highway, this is where the Toyota wins. The Toyota has way more power, and this one just yells at you more than it moves. And I think that's where that price difference comes into play, especially because the Toyota offers the hybrid. You put your foot down on the Nissan, it will get to the highway and hopefully up to speeds. It's not quite as powerful, and I think that's something that people have to look into it. But even in sport modes, put it to sport mode, it's not any different. It's okay. But then again, these vehicles are not meant for power delivery. They're supposed to be fuel efficient and reasonably priced, because that is super important to a lot of people, and I think that's what they're targeting. They're not looking for people that deliver, they want horsepower, they want people that want something to go from A to B. It's got some space, it's got tech features, it looks cool, and I think that's where the Nissan Kicks wins. And it kicks because it's affordable, it's got amazing tech features, it looks amazing on the outside compared to the Toyota, which is very conservative in my opinion. This one feels more fancier, cooler on the outside, and even the inside looks amazing. So for the price, you're actually getting an amazing deal. Now, when it comes to driving, there is a difference for sure, and I think Toyota wins a little bit there, especially with the hybrid system. But they both offer all-wheel drive, they're both CVTs, so you're not really winning a lot there. Which one would I take home? You probably guessed by now. The Kicks? Really, Kicks? I'm pretty happy what they've done with this car, and I love how it looks. I'm okay with the driving. You get used to it. Once you get up to speeds, it really cruises. The suspension system is not stiff. The body roll, it's pretty good, but don't expect anything crazy. It does the job for what you pay, and I think that's also important because knowing how expensive cars are getting nowadays, these are well priced vehicles for both of them, and they offer different things. But when it comes down to which one would I take home, that was a Toyota Prius with a Lexus badge. Interesting. I would say the Nissan Kicks would be my choice. Just better value overall.